There's something special about Harry Potter. No matter how many times you watch it, it always feels magical.
That's true. It's not just a story, it's like a world you can visit again and again.
Exactly. And I think that's why so many people love it.
So, what makes Harry Potter so special?
Good question. At first, it looks like a simple fantasy story.
A boy, a school, magic?
Yes, but when you look closer, you see something deeper.
Like what?
It's a story about growing up.
Oh, yeah, the characters change a lot over time.
Nodding. Exactly. We see them as kids and then as teenagers.
And they face real problems, not just magical ones.
Yes, friendship, fear, choices, things we all understand.
So, it's not really about magic.
Magic is important, but it's not the main point.
Then, what is the main point?
The people.
The characters?
Yes, Harry, Hermione, Ron, they feel real.
Yeah, they're very different from each other.
And that's what makes the story interesting,
How so?
because each one represents a different way of thinking.
Oh, like personality types?
Exactly.
Okay, let's start with Harry.
Harry is brave, but also confused.
Yeah, he doesn't always know what to do.
True, he learns step by step.
That makes him relatable.
Yes, he is not perfect.
And Hermione?
Hermione is intelligent and prepared.
She always studies.
Always.
But she also grows emotionally.
Yes, at first she follows rules too much.
And later, she learns when to break them.
Impressed, exactly.
And anything about Ron?
Ron is very human.
What do you mean?
Clarifying, he feels insecure, jealous, and sometimes afraid.
Oh, yeah, that's very real.
Yes, he shows emotions that many people hide.
So each character brings something different.
Calm, exactly, and together they create balance.
So, like a team.
Yes, a team.
But the story is not only about them.
True, the world is also very important.
Hogwarts?
Yes, Hogwarts.
I think everyone wants to study there.
Definitely.
What makes Hogwarts so special?
It feels alive.
Alive?
Yes, the moving stairs, the talking paintings, the secrets.
Oh, yeah, there's always something new.
Exactly. It's not just a school, it's an experience.
And it changes with the story.
Yes, in the beginning, it feels magical and safe.
And later, it feels darker.
Exactly.
Why does it change so much?
Because the characters grow.
So the world grows with them.
Perfect.
That's actually very smart storytelling.
Yes, the tone follows the characters' emotions.
So when they are kids, everything feels lighter.
And when they become older, things become more serious.
That makes the story feel real.
Exactly.
And what about the message of the story?
One important message is choice.
Choice?
Yes, characters are defined by their choices.
Not just by who they are.
Exactly.
So even if someone has a difficult past, they can choose a different path.
Smiling. Yes, that's a key idea.
That makes the story very inspiring.
It does.
So Harry Potter is not just about magic.
Finishing. It's about growth, friendship, and choices.
I like that.
And this is just the beginning.
What do you mean?
Teasing tone. In the next part, we're going to look deeper into the characters and how they influence each other.
That sounds good.
Because in this story, relationships change everything.
Yeah, nothing happens alone.
Soft tone. Exactly. So, in the last part, we talked about the main characters.
Yeah, Harry, Hermione, and Ron.
Right. But now I want to focus on something very important.
What?
how they influence each other.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because none of them grows alone.
Yeah, they're always together.
Exactly. And each one changes the others in different ways.
Okay, let's start with Harry again.
Harry is brave, but sometimes he acts without thinking.
Yeah, he jumps into danger a lot.
Exactly.
So who helps him with that?
Hermione.
Of course.
Hermione brings logic and planning.
She thinks before acting.
Yes, she helps Harry slow down and think.
So she balances him.
Exactly.
And what does Harry give to Hermione?
Confidence.
Confidence?
Yes, Hermione is very smart, but at the beginning she doubts herself.
Oh, she wants to follow rules all the time.
Yes, Harry helps her take risks.
So he helps her be more flexible.
Exactly.
And Ron, where does he fit in?
Ron is the emotional center of the group.
That's interesting.
He reacts in a very human way.
Sometimes he gets scared or jealous.
Yes, and that makes the group more real.
How does Ron influence Harry?
Ron reminds Harry that he's not alone.
Oh, because Harry grows up alone.
Exactly.
So Ron brings friendship and support.
Yes, simple but very important.
And how does Hermione influence Ron?
She pushes him to improve.
Like studying more?
Yes, that too.
He needs it.
But also emotionally.
How?
Hermione challenges Ron when he's immature.
Oh, she doesn't accept everything.
Exactly.
So their relationship helps them grow,
Yes, even when they argue.
especially when they argue.
True.
So conflict is not always bad.
Exactly. Conflict can create growth.
That's very realistic.
Yes, that's why the story feels so real.
So the trio works because they are different.
Exactly.
If they were all the same, it wouldn't work.
Yes, they need each other's differences.
That's a strong message.
It is.
But what about other characters,
Good question.
like teachers or other students?
They also play important roles.
For example,
Think about mentors,
mentors.
continuing adults who guide the students.
Oh, like teachers.
Yes,
And what do they represent?
different types of guidance.
Not all of them are the same.
Exactly.
Some are strict and some are kind.
Yes, and that teaches the characters different lessons.
So learning is not only in class.
Exactly.
It's also about life experience.
Yes,
And what about rivals?
that's another important point.
Why are rivals important?
Because they create contrast.
Contrast?
Yes, they show different choices.
Oh, like different paths.
Exactly.
So the story is not just about good and bad.
It's about decisions.
That makes it more complex.
Yes,
So every relationship has a purpose.
exactly.
Friends, teachers, rivals, all of them help shape the characters.
Yes, that's the structure of the story.
That's why it feels so complete.
Exactly.
So in the next part, what are we going to explore?
Something bigger.
Bigger?
The idea of good and evil in the story.
Oh, that's going to be deep.
Yes, but we'll keep it simple.
Good.
Because in this world, nothing is as simple as it looks. So let's talk about something bigger now.
Bigger than friendships?
Yes, let's talk about good and evil.
Oh, that's a big topic.
It is. But in Harry Potter, it is also very clear and very complex at the same time.
That sounds confusing.
Let me explain. At first, the story looks simple.
Like good versus bad?
Exactly.
The hero and the villain.
Yes, but as the story grows, things become more complicated.
How?
Because we start to see that people are not only good or only bad.
Oh, they are a mix.
Exactly.
So even good characters make mistakes.
Yes.
And bad characters are not always completely bad.
Exactly.
That makes the story more realistic.
Yes, it reflects real life.
So, what defines a good character in this story?
Their choices.
Again, choices.
Yes, that idea is very important here.
So it's not about power.
No, power is not the main factor.
Then what is?
How a person uses their power.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Exactly.
So someone can be powerful but still make bad choices.
Yes.
And someone can be simple but make good choices.
Perfect.
That's a very strong message.
It is.
And what about fear?
Good point.
Fear seems very important in the story.
Yes, fear drives many actions.
How so?
Some characters act badly because they are afraid.
Afraid of what?
Loss, rejection, or failure.
That sounds very human.
Exactly.
So fear can push people to make wrong decisions.
Yes.
And courage is the opposite?
Not exactly.
No?
Courage is not the absence of fear.
Then what is it?
It is acting even when you are afraid.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yes.
So being brave doesn't mean not feeling fear.
Exactly.
That makes Harry more interesting.
Yes, Harry is not fearless.
He feels fear but still acts.
Exactly.
That makes him a real hero.
Yes.
And what about friendship in this context?
Friendship helps characters face fear.
Because they are not alone.
Exactly.
So courage becomes stronger with support.
Yes.
And what about the idea of identity?
That's another important theme.
Identity, like who you are?
Yes, and who you choose to become.
So it's not fixed,
No, it changes.
based on choices again.
Exactly.
So the story's not just about fighting enemies.
It's about understanding yourself,
That's deep.
but still simple to follow.
So the magic is not only in spells.
It's also in the ideas.
That's why people of all ages enjoy it.
Yes,
Kids see adventure, adults see meaning.
exactly.
So the story grows with the audience.
Perfect.
So what comes next?
Now we move to something more specific.
Which is
The role of the world itself.
the environment?
Yes, how the world shapes the characters.
That sounds interesting.
Because in this story, the world is not just a background.
It's part of the story.
Exactly. So now let's focus on the world itself.
The magical world?
Yes, because in Harry Potter, the world is not just the background.
It feels alive.
Exactly. And more than that, it shapes the characters.
How does a world shape a character?
Think about where Harry grows up.
With the Dursleys.
Yes, a place with no magic, no affection, no understanding.
That must affect him a lot.
It does. It makes him feel isolated and different.
So when he enters the magical world,
Everything changes.
it's like he finally belongs somewhere.
Exactly.
So the world gives him identity?
Yes, it helps him understand who he is.
That's powerful.
Now think about Hogwarts again.
The school.
It's not just a place to learn magic.
What else is it?
It's a place where characters discover themselves.
Through experiences?
Yes, through friendships, challenges, and choices.
So Hogwarts is like a symbol of growth.
Perfect.
And what about the different houses?
That's another important part.
They represent personality traits, right?
Yes, but they also create identity and belonging.
So when someone joins a house, they feel part of something.
Exactly.
But it can also create division.
Yes, that's the other side.
So the same system that creates unity can also create conflict.
That's a very good observation,
That feels very real.
because it is.
So the world is not perfect.
Not at all.
Even magical systems have problems.
Yes, and those problems affect the characters.
In what way?
They influence decisions.
Oh, like pressure from society?
Exactly.
So characters are not completely free.
No, they live inside a system.
That makes things more complex.
Yes.
And what about rules?
Rules are everywhere in this world.
Yeah, a lot of rules.
True.
But the main characters break rules all the time.
Yes, and that's important.
Why?
Because it shows that rules are not always right.
Oh, so rules can limit people.
Exactly.
So characters need to decide when to follow rules and when to question them.
Impressed. Yes, that's a key lesson.
And that connects with choice again.
Everything connects with choice.
I see that now.
Now, think about the tone of the world,
Tone?
the feeling of the world.
Oh, like mood.
Yes,
It changes over time.
exactly.
At the beginning, it feels light and magical,
And later, it becomes darker and more serious.
just like the characters.
Perfect.
So the world reflects their emotions.
Yes,
So that makes everything feel connected.
exactly.
So the world is not static,
No, it evolves.
just like the characters.
Yes,
That's why it feels so immersive.
exactly.
So in this story, the world, the characters, and the themes are all connected.
Yes, they depend on each other.
Remove one and the story changes.
Completely.
So what are we missing now?
One final piece.
Which is
Soft tone, the meaning behind everything.
the message,
Yes, the bigger idea.
what the story wants to say.
Exactly.
So in the next part, we connect everything.
Yes,
Characters, world, choices.
and meaning.
That sounds like the perfect ending.
Why do people feel so connected to this story?
Because it's magical?
That's part of it.
Because it's exciting?
Yes, but I think there's something deeper.
Deeper?
People don't just watch Harry Potter. They feel it.
Yeah, that's true.
They remember it. They return to it.
Like a comfort place.
Exactly.
Why does it feel like that?
Because the story grows with you.
What do you mean?
When you watch it as a child, you see adventure.
Magic, spells, fun.
Yes.
And when you watch it later?
You see something different.
Like what?
You notice the emotions more.
The struggles, the decisions.
Exactly.
So the story changes depending on you.
Perfect.
That's actually very special.
It is.
So it's not just the story, it's your moment in life.
Yes.
That explains why people feel nostalgic.
Exactly.
It reminds them of who they were.
And shows them who they are now.
That's deep.
It is.
So Harry Potter is not just entertainment,
It's an experience.
a personal experience.
Yes.
And what about the idea of belonging?
That's very important.
Everyone wants to belong somewhere.
Exactly.
And Hogwarts represents that?
Yes, it represents a place where you are accepted,
Even if you feel different.
especially if you feel different.
That's why so many people love it.
Yes,
Because it gives hope.
exactly.
Hope that you can find your place.
Yes,
That's a powerful feeling.
it is.
And what about the idea of change?
Change is everywhere in the story.
The characters change, the world changes.
Yes,
And people watching the story also change.
exactly.
So the story becomes part of their life.
Yes,
That's why it feels so personal.
exactly.
So even if two people watch the same story,
They can feel different things.
based on their experiences,
Yes,
that makes the story very rich.
yes.
So in a way, the story belongs to the audience too.
That's a beautiful way to say it.
It's not just the creator's story anymore.
It becomes everyone's story.
That's why people talk about it so much.
Yes,
They are not just talking about the story,
they're talking about their experience.
their memories.
Exactly.
So the magic is not only in the world,
It's in the connection.
between the story and the person.
Exactly.
That makes everything feel more meaningful.
Yes.
So before we finish, what should people think about?
Think about your own journey with the story. When did you first watch it?
What did you feel?
And what do you feel now?
That's a powerful question.
Because the answer shows how you changed.
And how the story stayed with you.
Exactly. So now we have all the pieces
Characters, relationships, the world.
and the idea of choices.
Yes, everything connects.
Exactly. And now we can ask the final question.
Which is?
What is the true meaning of this story?
That's a big question.
It is, but we can answer it step by step.
Okay, where do we start?
Let's start with something simple.
Go on.
The story shows that life is not easy.
Yes, the characters face many challenges.
Loss, fear, difficult decisions.
Things that feel very real.
Exactly.
So the story is not trying to escape reality.
No, it uses fantasy to talk about reality.
Oh, that's interesting.
Magic makes the story exciting.
But the emotions are real.
Perfect.
So what does the story teach us?
That our choices define who we are.
That idea again.
Yes, because it is the core of everything.
Not where you come from, but what you choose to do.
Exactly.
And what about friendship?
Friendship is what makes those choices possible.
Because we don't face things alone.
Yes.
So even strong characters need support.
Exactly.
And what about courage?
Courage is choosing to act even when you are afraid.
So fear is not the enemy.
No, fear is part of the journey.
That makes courage more real.
Yes.
So the story is not about perfect heroes.
No, it's about human characters.
Characters who fail and try again.
Exactly.
And what about the world?
The world shows that systems are not perfect.
There are rules, divisions, and problems.
Yes.
So characters need to question the world around them.
Exactly.
So change comes from action,
Yes.
not from waiting.
Exactly.
That's a strong message.
It is.
So when we connect everything,
Yes.
the story becomes about growth.
Perfect.
Growing as a person, making choices, learning from mistakes,
Yes.
and understanding others.
Exactly.
That's why people connect with the story.
Yes, because everyone is growing in their own way.
So people see themselves in the characters,
Exactly.
even in different moments of life.
Yes.
And maybe that's why the story never feels old,
That's a beautiful way to say it.
because growth never stops.
Exactly.
So every time you watch it, you understand something new,
Yes.
depending on who you are at that moment.
Exactly.
That's what makes it timeless.
Perfect.
So in the end, Harry Potter is not just a story about magic,
It's a story about being human.
about choices, fear, friendship, and growth.
Exactly.
And maybe that's the real magic.
Maybe it is.